Welcome everyone to my comparison between the SH Figuarts and the Mafex versions of Batman for the live-action DC Extended Universe. So it is the Ben Affleck version or Batfleck version for Zack Snyder's Justice League. On the left is the one that was released around the time when Justice League movie came out in 2017-18. So the SH Figuarts version. On the right is the one that we just got released not long ago in 2024. Which is Zack Snyder's Justice League version by Mafex. And I know there was a 1.0, I don't have that with me anymore, but this is the one to go to now. So first things first, of course, as we always begin with, is the first look. So on the left, the SH Figuarts version, don't get me wrong, it's a decent sculpt in terms of the head sculpt. I think the likeness is there, but the proportions, he's probably a bit too thin for me. And for the suit, it's gone for like a really light color, which is okay. It kind of looks like the BVS one. So this one kind of is stuck between the BVS and Justice League in terms of the look. And then for the Mafex one, of course, obviously being a 2.0 is going to be a better sculpt than even the 1.0, let alone the SH Figuarts version. And of course, you can see the paint details are a lot more accurate. It's a lot darker when it comes to the grays. And the head sculpt is pretty much nailed on. I think it's really realistic to the Affleck version we see in the movie. So automatically, you can see that this one is better. And obviously, height-wise, Mafex is the better one. It's a lot taller. So you can see front to front, back to back, and obviously side to side. So everything in terms of first impressions, I like the Mafex one. Belt area, you can see that both of them have done a decent job in terms of the sculpt. And then for the arm guards, they are pretty similar. It's a bit lighter on the SH Figuarts version, as you can see. And then for the boots, I think there's a bit more color in the SH Figuarts version, whereas the Mafex one kind of just goes for one black color. And the main thing for a lot of at least superhero characters is the cape. So you can see that the SH Figuarts one has gone for like a soft material, and it does have a band inside so you can create shapes for it. But the Mafex one, you can see that they've gone for like a pleather look, which again is a lot more realistic. And I think it's already improved on the 1.0 as well. It's a lot bigger as well. And it does have the bands on the sides to create the shapes. So now we can take a look at the different accessories, starting off with the hands. So both the Batmans out of the box include a standard set of fisted hands. And I guess this is very standard in a lot of SHF and Mafex figures. And for the first set of alternative hands, both the Batmans include a set of open, relaxed palms. And of course, these hands can be used for a variety of poses, a natural look, or when he's just throwing the Batarang, or when he's spreading his cape, you can use these hands. For the first set of hands, both the Batmans include a set to hold on to its gadget, the Batarang, and this can be used on the right or the left hand side. And this is where the difference kicks in for the alternative hands, as the SH Figuarts has one left hand to hold on to the grappler gun, whereas the Mafex one has two hands to hold on to the grappler gun. And I think the Mafex one is a bit more accurate, since I believe Batman most of the time uses on the right hand side, whereas the SHF is only available on the left. And here's a side-by-side comparisons of the Batarangs included. So for the SH Figuarts one, we do have only one, whereas the Mafex one have included 3 in total. And there is a difference in terms of the size as well as the paint. And here is the difference between the grappler guns. As you can see on the left, the SH Figuarts version is a lot smaller. The paint is different as well. And for some reason, they've given it in 2 different pieces where you can kind of detach one of the parts on the gun. And I kind of saw this as a bit pointless since there was no string attached with this figure. So you didn't really need to have it in 2 separate pieces. And then for the Mafex one on the right, you can see it's just 1 piece. And here is a look at the Batmans holding on to the Batarang. Of course, for the SH Figuarts, they've only included 1, so you can only see it on one side, but it can be held on the left hand as well. And then for the Mafex version, they've included 3 in total, so of course you can have a bit more dynamic posing holding on both sides. And here is the look of the Batmans holding on to the grappler gun. And once again, for the SH Figuarts version, it can only be held on the left hand side, whereas for the Mafex one, a bit more flexibility, you can hold it on both sides. And here is one major difference between the 2 figures, is that for the Mafex one, it does include the alternative head sculpts. For the SH Figuarts, for some reason, they just never included one for Batman, even though they did it for Superman and Wonder Woman. So for the Mafex one, you can see it does have the angry gritted teeth version for the action poses. And here is the second alternative head sculpt for the Mafex version with the mouth open, and this is also an improvement to the 1.0 by Medicom. And for the Mafex figure, they've also included a third alternative head sculpt, which is the unmasked Bruce Wayne look, which is always a nice touch. It's a bonus when you have this kind of look in their figures. And it's an improvement to the 1.0 because they did not include the Bruce Wayne head sculpt either. So this is where he gives his speech to the team, which was a key scene in the movie. And of course, there were a few scenes in the Batcave when, of course, he took off the cowl. So yeah, definitely I do like this. And it's a bit different to the Mafex version they released a few years ago. You can see in terms of the skin tone and even the hair color, you can see that they've kind of given him the gray hairs in this figure to kind of be in line with the Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. So yeah, it's always nice to have an unmasked look. And in case you're wondering, let's see if we can do a head swap between the two where I've disconnected the neck as well. So let's try the SH Figuarts version on the Mafex, including the neck. It's not going to connect on because the pegs don't work. So you're probably going to need to use some blue tack. And then for the Mafex one onto the SHF, you can see that I think the peg is not going to fit in either, but it does kind of connect to it. So I guess it still kind of works. So you could do that if you just don't like the SH Figuarts head sculpt. But then you're left, of course, without a head sculpt on the Mafex one, which you're probably going to need to use the unmasked Bruce Wayne. And since we do have that unmasked Bruce Wayne, let's see if it can connect onto the SHF as well. Of course, it does have the neck included for the Mafex, so it does kind of sit in, although there is a gap. So this would be an alternative kind of look if you want. So, of course, if we use the neck piece on the Mafex one, it's original. Let's see if we can put the SHF head onto it because the SHF neck doesn't fit. And it actually does sit on, but it's not going to connect to it. But I don't see any reason why you would want the SHF on the Mafex one, since I believe the Mafex original head sculpt is better. So yeah, in terms of head swaps, this could be a choice to actually use the Bruce Wayne head sculpt onto the SHF. So now for the size comparison, starting off with the SH Figuarts Justice League Superman. And here it is next to the SH Figuarts Justice League Wonder Woman. And next to the SH Figuarts Flash from The Flash. And here it is next to the Mafex Zack Snyder's Justice League Superman. And here it is next to the Mafex version of Zack Snyder's Justice League Cyborg, as well as next to the Mafex version of Zack Snyder's Justice League Aquaman. And here is a look next to the Mafex version of the Justice League Bruce Wayne. And finally next to the Mafex version of the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Nightmare Batman. So now for my final thoughts on the SH Figuarts and the Mafex versions of Batman for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I'm pretty sure before most of you who clicked on this video would have guessed that the Mafex version is the better one over the SHF. But you do have to bear in mind the SH Figuarts was made 6 or 7 years prior and the Mafex one is a 2.0. But you are correct in terms of the likeness, the proportions, the cape, the gadgets, the head sculpts. All of them in the Mafex one trumps the SHF version, and I know for the SH Figuarts it's decent for its time. It fits well next to the Superman and Wonder Woman, but proportionately it's just really lacking. It's not muscular enough and it's way too short. And in terms of the accessories, it just doesn't have as much as the Mafex one. And in terms of DC figures, I think really the go-to is Mafex. They have really set the standards. They just do the better figures in DC overall. Be sure to also check out the links in the description below for the Mafex review of Batman, as well as the chance to pick up the item. Stay tuned for more regarding the news, reviews and collections, and thanks for watching.